2020 has been challenging on a lot of levels, as economic, environmental, and societal frailties have been laid bare. But it's also proved that when we need to, we can act rapidly and restructure our lives.
The recovery from the pandemic is an opportunity. We can see rays of hope in the form of a vaccine. There is no vaccine. Nature needs the bailout.
You don't want to go back to the status quo that you had before simply because it was the status quo that got us here.
With everything falling apart, we can reshape the world in ways we couldn't before, ways that better address so many of the challenges we face. And that's why so many are calling for a great reset. A great reset? That sounds more like buzzword bingo masking some nefarious plan for world domination. Hands up, this kind of slogan hasn't gone down well. But all we really want to say is that we all have an opportunity to build a better world. And it's not surprising that people who've been disenfranchised by a broken system and pushed even further by the pandemic will suspect global leaders of conspiracy. But the world's not that simple. Every one of us has differing priorities, values, and ideas. That's part of why solutions are so hard to come by, and why we all need to be involved in the decision-making. Because whether it's politicians, CEOs, academics, activists, or you, we're all about getting people together, even those you may not like, to sit down at the table and develop solutions that work for all of us. But
we need enormous trust between the private sector and the public sector for this to actually work. That trust is hard to come by.
it's time for people to work together, listen to each other, and build this trust so we can move towards a better world. And we really need one. Because while the pandemic affects us all, it's clear it affects some more than others.
The first people who are hit are the people at the front, those who are vulnerable. It is those on the front line who take it first, and that is simply unacceptable.
See, at the start of 2020, 1% of the world's population owned 44% of the wealth. And since the start of the pandemic, billionaires have increased theirs by more than 25%, whilst 150 million people fell back into extreme poverty. And with climate change set to dwarf the damage caused by the pandemic, the message from 2020 should be abundantly clear.
Capitalism, as we know it, is dead. This obsession that we have had with maximizing profits for shareholders alone has led to incredible inequality and a planetary emergency.
But no one can do this alone, and top-down approaches won't get us anywhere, because everything we've learned in our work has shown us that diverse voices lead to better results. And it's for these reasons that the forum talks about something called stakeholder capitalism, which would shift businesses away from just profit. Because
if we want to change where the focus of our recovery will go, then we need a new dashboard for the new economy. And that needs to encompass people, planet, prosperity, and institutions.
Giving people a real stake in the economy and putting well-being before growth. And that's all about getting the right people in the right place at the right time.
We must rebuild our relationship with nature for the survival of the peoples and our planet.
We have a window of time which is closing, and we need everybody who cares to get together and find solutions now.
It's the people who have great ideas and who share them with others. They're the ones who are shaping the future. So if you want to be a part of the change, then tune in, turn on, and get involved. Follow the Davos agenda, right here, online, on YouTube.
Imagine North Korea in 20 years when everybody has to wear a biometric bracelet which constantly monitors your blood pressure, your heart rate, your brain activity, 24 hours a day. You listen to a speech on the radio by the great leader, and they know what you actually feel. You can clap your hands and smile, but if you're angry, they know you'll be in the gulag tomorrow morning. And if we allow the emergence of such total machines, don't places like Davos will protect.
I'm the chairman of Bain & Company and on how to survive the 21st century. It's not an
Hey guys, what's up? Okay, yeah, so this is, I know like the title says Agenda 21, and we are going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about everything. Just everything. I guess it's going to be a part 2. And Agenda 21, I'll first start off by saying this, that I believe Agenda 21 isn't the final thing. Obviously, like it's a part of a different agenda that's not publicized and that will never be publicized, because why would they do that? That's not smart. Like, you don't tell your enemy your whole plan. You just give them bits and pieces, but you don't actually tell them everything. So yeah, I do believe that the world's gonna change. I do believe that things are gonna change, but do I believe that it's gonna change according to what Agenda 21 and Agenda 30 say? I don't know. I don't think so. I'll have some time to think about it, but it's like this whole thing of just question everything and don't just believe one thing. Like, believe a little bit of everything because it'll hurt your feelings less. But yeah, let me know what you guys are. Let me know if you guys are good. What's up, Mr. Uganda? Thank you so much for being here. What's up, Neo? Thank you so much for being here. This is Jojo. Hey sis, how are you? Not bad, not bad, not bad. What's up? Shout outs to everybody in the chat. Yeah, so let's just talk about it. Let's just talk about everything. So, with this whole Agenda 21 thing, right? So this was something that was proposed around the 70s. Like, this was a whole plan that was started by this Swedish guy. I'll put the links in the chat very, very soon. But it's a plan that basically was started by a Swedish guy. And this Swedish guy has been talking to a whole bunch of politicians. So at first I thought that, okay, it was just his crazy plan and who cares because it's just his crazy plan. But if you actually look at the World Economic Forum, which is their website, you'll see pictures of a whole bunch of politicians. A whole bunch of worldly politicians are in that picture. And to be honest, honestly, even listen to a lot of the presidents, Joe Biden, Boris, the royal family in the UK, all of these really famous people, they not only have been in contact with this man, but they keep talking about a great reset. We need to refresh. We need to refresh. We need to restart. So they're basically all best friends, you know? And that's what I was talking about last time. I was like, be careful of presidents, be careful of their speeches, because they're being bought out and they mean no good. So for instance, this is their website right here. Where was it? There was a page that actually had a whole bunch of speakers. I think it's this one. Yeah, right here. So you got President of the EU, you got President of France, and we already knew this because this guy's crazy. Macron, he's crazy. And you have a whole bunch of people in the EU, whatever. You have Xi Jinping, which is obviously not a surprise because China's crazy. You have the South African president, which is not crazy if you think about it either, because that country is going through some nonsense right now. But these are just a couple of them. These are just a couple of the people who are really vocal about it. So it just really makes you think, like, why are they on this website? Why are they on this website that's basically talking about resetting the world, resetting the economy? And the excuse that they use is they want a more sustainable world. But you're the one who ruined the world in the first place by introducing all of these toxic chemicals and all these environmental problems that you brought upon yourself. And now you're saying that it's basically the best idea is your idea to reset the world. Who gave you that authority though? Nobody. So one of the things that they want to do is obviously they want to bring us into a digital age, which is kind of obvious, like everybody knows this. But if any of you guys have ever read the book 1984, they not only want to bring a digital age because we're going into the fourth revolution anyways, they want to go to the digital age because it makes it easy for them to censor everybody. You know what I mean? Like if we all have chips and if they're all able to track us, it just makes it easier for whatever evil plans that they have. It makes it easier for them to control us. This whole universal income in which they want to pay everybody a certain amount of dollars every month, which is basically what they're doing right now. If you think about it, they're practicing that right now, I guess, to see how that works and how that will work out. But yeah, that's one of the things that they want to do. So if we look at the digital age, you could say, okay, well, you know, that's not happening anytime soon. But like I mentioned before, they already have patents on microtechnology. A lot of countries already invested in microtechnology. And if you look in the case of, hold up. If you look in the case of Sweden as well, thousands of Swedes are inserting microchips under their skin. So this has already started in certain parts of the world, you know? So it's not really something that is that impossible to think about when a lot of countries in the world are already starting to do this. I'm just giving one example, but if you research it, a lot of countries have already invested and are already investing into micro technology in terms of chips and chips being inserted into your body. So what is that all about? Is that just a coincidence? No, too many of these things can't be coincidences. So anyways, yeah, censoring, they want to censor people. They want to introduce the basic income. The other thing that they were talking about is the environmental implications that they want to change. So they want to control greenhouse gases. They want to make the world a better place. And they also want to get rid of capitalism and bring in like a mix of capitalism and socialism, basically, is what they're trying to do. And Agenda 21, again, if you look on their website, it's a 10-year plan that they have to actually reset the world and reset how we do things. It's not going to be something that is bad. Not bad as in it's not going to be something that's going to be like depressing, so to speak, but it's going to be something that people are already going to they're going to transition into it. Yeah, so it's going to be something that's going to be transitioned into. Obviously, some people are going to lose their lives for obvious reasons, but those reasons and those loss of lives are not going to be publicized. You know, they're already working on censorship. You could barely talk about the virus. You could barely post about it. You know, if you find some kind of treatment or some kind of preventative measure, they have a way of deleting that video. They have a way of blocking that video. So they're already working on means of censorship anyways. So obviously, let's say in 5 years when things get much, much, much worse, we're not even going to know a lot of the things that are happening because those things are obviously going to be censored in the media. Like that's just, you know, that's just kind of, I mean, that's the way the world is going right now because they just feel like they have the monopoly to talk about whatever they want. and no one else does. Oh, by the way, I wanted to give a warning. If you are depressed or if you're anxious or if you're someone who's scared about this kind of stuff, you should click off the video because this is not scary information, but stress is going to do a lot of harm to your body. So if this makes you even more stressed or anxious, you might as well just click off because you're gonna be ruining your body and you're gonna do it to yourself anyways. So you might as well just click off. I'm just saying. All right. So one of the things that they say is you will have nothing and you will be happy. Yeah, that's basically communism. I honestly, and a lot of people just believe that what they want to do is they want to make it so that they change the whole world in a way in which they're gonna act like they're not controlling it, but in the background there's gonna be a select few people that are gonna be controlling it. And that's already happening, but it's gonna be kind of more obvious and kind of not at the same time. Like right now, who controls the world? It's 1% of the population that basically controls the world, right? But that 1% of the population, they're going to use psychological tactics, and they're already using a lot of presidents and people who we saw earlier, who are going to basically lead the flock and basically get rid of their rights, a lot of the rights that they have, so that they can easily implement these type of things. As we mentioned before, this pandemic and so many other pandemics that are yet to come, and so many pandemics of the past were ways. Actually, no, I'm not gonna lie. Let me backtrack. Basically, after World War II or World War I or whatever, that's when they decided that they needed to change the order of the world again. So there was already a world order then, and then after the World War, they kept on thinking, and then they decided that they wanted to change the world order again. So this is going to be the new world order, in which certain countries, I'm pretty sure China is going to be one of them. China, they said they don't believe it's going to be the US, but China, along with other countries, are going to be the select few countries that actually control the rest of the world, and the elites are the ones that are actually controlling everything. But they're going to give a couple of countries who are very willing to work with them, they're going to give those countries they're going to give the countries the rights to do a whole bunch of things, and then they're going to make other countries copy what those countries are doing. So that's basically what's projected to happen with this whole Agenda 21 and Agenda 30. And as we mentioned before, it's a 10-year plan. We're in 2021, so there's 9 years left for them to implement, everything else of whatever they want to implement, which is going to be a lot of things. I don't know what all of those things are. It's a lot, but it just takes too much time to really look into all this stuff. But it's a lot of things that they're going to implement. And if you're asking again why all of this is happening, it's because of control, it's because of dominance, it's because of power, and it's because they just like it when people are dependent on them, And when we're talking about this dependency, we're not talking about physical things. We're mostly talking about psychological things, because if you're psychologically messed up or if you're psychologically weak, obviously that's going to reflect how you physically act, what you physically do, right? Like back in the days, they used to do everything by force, which is why they used to invest a lot of money into physical world wars, into physical fighting, right? They used to invest a lot of money into that. They're not doing that anymore. Now, the new type of fighting, the new type of warfare is with technology, it's with digital manipulation, it's with psychological manipulation. So that's the new type of war that these people are investing in. And yeah, that's basically what they're doing with this whole Agenda 30, Agenda 2021. Yeah. So why they're doing this is because if you have people that are vegetables, so to speak, if you have people that tune into the news and actually listen to what the news say 24/7, then those are the sheep who you could take advantage of. For instance, with this whole vaccine thing, they're pretending like they're giving people, they're pretending like, okay, they're pretending like they're giving people autonomy over a lot of their decisions, but people really aren't, right? Because if you think about it, right, with this whole vaccine thing, again, this vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting the virus. This vaccine doesn't stop you from getting the virus. Neither does the flu vaccine. But at least with the flu vaccine, I could be wrong, but I don't remember them ever advertising the flu vaccine as being the holy grail, right? I don't remember them ever advertising the flu vaccine as being so important as this particular one. So the fact that they're advertising this vaccine as if you take it, then everything will be okay and that your life will be better, it's very suspicious. It's extremely suspicious. But you know, people will just say, well, you can't do anything about it, so just take it. And it's like, but you're not looking at the bigger picture. It's not even just the vaccine. It's the vaccine along with the lockdowns, along with the fact that most of the world, a lot of presidents are being changed. Like they're changing a lot of presidents, so a lot of power is being changed as well. And a lot of these new presidents that are coming up in 2020 and 2021 are presidents who are very, very liberal presidents. Presidents that are not tough, presidents that have no backbone, presidents that are yes men, essentially, right? So all of these circumstances all together are not a coincidence. They're just not. Like it all fits into their plan. And when I say they, I'm just talking about the elites. I obviously don't know who it is. I'm not even just talking about the Agenda 21 guy. I'm talking about all of them. Because to me, it's even deeper than Agenda 21. It's all of them. There's probably like 7, 8, 9 different agendas that we don't even know about, right? So that's basically what it is. And they got it. They got it. Because right now, people are low. Right now, people are dependent on drugs. A lot of people here, especially in this part, over here in Canada, especially, there have been so many cases of people overdosing, of people drinking, of people losing out, of people not having faith, you know, which is kind of obvious. We talk about this all the time, but just really sit there and think about it. Isn't this the perfect time when people are overdosing, when people are depressed, when people are sad, when people are angry, when people are having marriage breakdowns, relationship issues, issues with work? Some people are having financial issues right now. Like, isn't this the perfect time to implement this? They wouldn't be able to implement this plan if this pandemic wasn't around, right? It wouldn't be that easy. But because it's around, it's really convenient. You know? And earlier when we were talking about you're gonna see former presidents, you're gonna see a lot of famous people online doing live streams of them taking the quote unquote vaccine. But these are the same people that are vaccinating themselves most likely with water, glycerin, clear substances that are not the vaccine, but they're doing live streams telling everyone else that they're taking the vaccine. While the World Health Organization, the WHO, is the organization that's paying these people to advertise this. But they're going on Instagram saying that you should take it because they're taking it too. You know, a vaccine that hasn't been studied for Maybe it's been studied for a year now, which is what they say. But do you actually believe that? I don't even know what to believe anymore. But I would believe that it's been out for a while, but now they're just publicly giving it to people. That's what I believe. I don't actually believe that they've been studying this for a year. They've probably been studying this for 5, 10 years. But now is when they're publicly just talking about it. Because you can't talk about a vaccine if you don't have a disease to fix the vaccine. Right? Like, you just have to question everything. Honestly, if you're asking what the point of this live stream is, the point of this live stream is to question everything, accept nothing, or accept very few things, but question everything. And even those things that you accept, make sure you go back and you question those things as well, because some things just don't make any sense. And I guess they're not supposed to, but it's just confusing, to be honest. It really is. You know, like, think about it. If any of you guys have ever gone to the hospital because you trust that institution so much, which I don't know why you would, because the pharmaceutical companies, the pharmaceutical industry is like what, $1 trillion industry. But whatever religion you believe, whether you're Muslim, Christian, African spiritualist, Jew, or even if you don't believe anything, but mostly if you do believe in a religion, all of your books or all of your beliefs basically tell you that things that are supposed to heal you are already in nature, right? The food that you eat is not just to make you full, it's supposed to nourish you. So then why is the pharmacy charging so much money for medicine that's not even real, medicine that's fake? Like, why are they doing that? But then people run with it. Oh, I have a headache, I must take a Tylenol. What? Is that what people do nowadays? Because if that's what you do, then you're doing it to yourself. Like, no offense. I'm not even trying to be nice. Like, I'm trying to be as real as possible right now. If that's you, as soon as you get a headache, you run to take painkillers, you're not gonna last. I'm not talking about physically, like mentally, you're not gonna last. You gotta catch up. Because I don't know about you. I don't know what's in those painkillers, but I can't assume that everything in those painkillers are good, and I won't. Last time they said that those painkillers, a lot of those painkillers just have chalk in them. So, like, what's the point in taking that? I mean, at least try to find natural remedies for certain things. At least try. Instead of just automatically, you're not going to think about it and you're going to run to the pharmaceutical company, which the doctor recommended to get his or her percentage. Yeah. You know, and let me ask you this. God forbid, but what if someone in your family passes away? And if you've had this experience, let us know. Someone in your family passes away, right? You go to the doctor or whatever, and they give you an autopsy report which says, oh, the cause of this person's death was such and such and such and such and such. How can you verify that? Can you or I verify that? Can you or I verify that the cause of someone's death was what they said it is? I mean, I'm not saying all autopsies are fake. That would be kind of stupid for me to say, right? But yeah, not all these autopsy reports are real. I mean, they've done it before. So what's stopping them from doing it again? But you got people always running with their narrative, right? You got people that whatever they say, they accept it. Yeah, you're right. No, they're not always right. Please get that out of your mind because they're crazy. A lot of them. You know? Okay, fine. They're not crazy. They're evil, if that makes you feel better. You know? So yeah, just question everything. Because if we're even talking about the case of Africa, right? So I'm going to stop talking about the West for right now. I'll come back to it because I have more to say about Africa tomorrow. But in the case of Africa, right? They're looking at the population of Africa, which is right now 1.2 billion. And that's a threat to them because they can't have kids like that. I don't know why, but they just can't. Or maybe they just don't believe in it. I don't know. But they're having issues with having kids. So they're looking at the population of Africa specifically, and they're like, this is a problem. So what did they do? How did they justify this? They go to Africa and they say, guys, you need to use protection. You guys are having too many children. Why do you care if someone else is having too many children? You know? Why do you care? But they care because that's part of their, what do you call it? That's part of their, what do you call it again? Mass genocide agenda. So their mass genocide agenda, which they've been doing this for some time now, and I'm not sure why Africans don't talk about this enough because they should, is what they do is they go to Africa and then they give Africans seeds, right? They give Africans GMO seeds and they say, hey, Africans, we love you so much. We just want to teach you how to do agriculture. Huh? Our agriculture ways are better than yours, so take this money and we'll help you plant all these seeds and we'll give you all these good fertilizers and we'll give you all these GMOs so that you guys can, what? They're so obvious with it. So on top of the, you guys are having too many kids agenda, they go to Africa, probably other continents as well, but I don't really care about that right now. And they basically tell them that you need help with agriculture. So you know what? Take our materials because our materials are better than yours. And who looks at these materials? Do you think African governments look at these seeds, look at these plants and see what are the chemicals in this? Or do you just think that African governments go like, thank you so much, US. Thank you so much, Britain. Thank you so much, France. And then in about 5-10 years, Africans will complain that some of their crops are not growing properly. They'll complain that some of the people, their population, they're not having kids properly. All these diseases are rising up. But they won't think that it has anything to do with these people giving them GMO killer seeds. I know some of you guys know the company Monsanto. I probably should put that in the chat. Hold up, let me do that. So there's a company called Monsanto. I'm probably gonna spell that wrong, but whatever. There's a company called Monsanto, and so far they are a legit company and they have been providing a lot of African countries with seeds and with a whole bunch of things that it makes me even embarrassed to say it. So they have something called a termination seed, and basically what the termination seed kills, oops, I probably shouldn't say that word. It eliminates your soil's ability to grow seeds. So that seed eliminates your soil's ability to grow seeds. So then what happens is that you have to go to them and continuously produce and purchase seeds from them, because they're the ones who gave you that special seed. You don't have that seed. That seed comes from them. So if anything happens and you, for some reason, you can't grow your food, then you got to go back to the West and ask them, hey, can I buy seeds from you? But then the evil powers that be, because we know the evil powers that be never rest, right? So the evil powers that be, if they ever decide to lie and be like, hey, I don't have any more seeds, I ran out, I have a low supply, then what are you going to do? Then what are you going to do if and when you become dependent on their seeds? What are you going to do when you want to purchase them and they say we don't have any more? Can you do anything? No. So that's one aspect of genocide that they do on people who least expect it, right? That's one way that they catch them. The other way is obviously by releasing diseases, because these are the same type of people, believe it or not. I know some of you guys already know this, and if you do, that's great, but some don't. Believe it or not, there are scientists that all they do is study how to transmit diseases. That's all they do. All they do is study diseases, right? So these are the same scientists that tend to study how you can transmit diseases from animals to people. That is what they're paid to do. If anyone knows who Anthony Fauci is, he is a very suspect character, and he has a huge deal in this. In fact, he has for a while, but people just forget. I don't know. Now all of a sudden, I remember it was last year, everybody was talking about, oh, well, this is what Dr. Anthony Fauci is saying. This is what Dr. Anthony Fauci is recommending. But he's the same doctor. He's the same doctor that apparently was studying diseases in bats and how you could transmit those diseases in bats to human beings. He was studying something along those lines, right? What happened after a while is, I think the US was like, oh, you can't be doing this in public, so you can't study here. So they got rid of his stipend. Like they stopped sponsoring his projects. And then him and a couple of other elites started to move their projects to China. So obviously in China, we already know that there are labs in which all they do is study diseases. So why wouldn't these people release by accident, or not by accident, but mostly not by accident, if you ask some of us, why wouldn't they release some of these diseases? Why wouldn't they do that? I mean, they already did. What's stopping them from doing it again? What's stopping them from doing it again? And this is the thing about the evil powers that be. You would think that the evil powers that be, you know, instead of trying to help people right now during an economic recession, no. You know, they're in their labs looking at how to transmit diseases, looking at how to do this, looking at how to do that. But then these are the same people that turn around and give medical advice about this and things like this. Just how that makes any sense is beyond me. Well, it kind of does, but it kind of doesn't, if you know what I mean. I'm gonna drop the link for that in case anybody wants to read about that. And then I'm also gonna drop the link of the World Economic Forum, in which we were talking earlier about Agenda 20 and Agenda 2030, which is basically the 10-year for the economic great reset, in which, give me 1 second, in which they've been talking about this for years and we had no idea about it. If you actually think about it, which is really interesting because even if you, for instance, search the Great Reset, and that's why I don't really, if you ask me with Agenda 20 and Agenda 30, I believe it, but the only reason why I don't believe it fully is because it's so public. I just feel like the evil powers that be, why would they be so public about what they're doing? Isn't that a diversion? That's my only thing about the evil powers that be. Like, I don't completely believe everything that they say, but I believe a little bit of it. And like I mentioned, with the evil powers that be, if you just got in here, this whole economic reset, whatever, it's a whole bunch of presidents that are part of that group. And it's a whole bunch of presidents that actually hang out with this person who thought about this whole idea. So the UN obviously is part of this. I'm assuming that the AU is part of this because whatever the UN does, AU tends to do as well. I'm trying to search something, hold on. Right, here it is. So, I don't even know at this point what I'm trying to say, but I'm just saying something. You know, Barack Obama was part of this. He talked about this many, many times. So has Trump, so has Biden, so has what's his name, Prince Charles. Yeah, he's talked about it as well many, many times. And a lot of his speeches when he's addressing the nations, he keeps saying things like reset, reset, we must start over. And it's like, who started that? Why would you mention this? You know, what's the agenda behind that? By the way, I know a lot of you guys, in the case of the virus, a lot of you guys have been hearing that there is that there's a new strand or new strain or whatever. I don't know if I actually believe that. I honestly think, if you ask me 100%, what I think is that it's a diversion because they want to introduce more lockdowns because they want to continue to do more. So I don't really think that there's a new strand. Maybe there is, but I don't really believe that there is like that. I honestly believe that the agenda further is to just bring more lockdowns because they're not tired and they haven't completed what they want to complete yet. So they're going to keep doing it. That's just what I believe. But, you know, it's all relative. It's obviously not something I can prove. But, I mean, to just quickly go with the notion that there is, unless I have a microscope and I can verify, unless if you give me the virus right here and I can look through a microscope and verify that there are new strands, I'm not going to believe it. But it's up to you. Whatever you want to believe is up to you, right? The really interesting part as well for this whole virus that a lot of the people in the West don't talk about is that in Madagascar, which is kind of an island, as you could say, in Africa, they actually have a treatment that seems to be working extremely well. Like, this treatment has been out for a long time, but they have a treatment that they're using and it's working for them. But is France, Britain, England, are they gonna invest into that? No. Nope. They're just gonna say, it's whatever. We already have a vaccine, so just take it. That's what they're gonna say. Whereas maybe other countries in the world, it's probably not just Madagascar. It's probably some other countries in the world as well that have their own treatments, their own cures, their own whatever, right? The US, Britain, Russia, all these companies that are actually getting grants for the government and making money by producing these vaccines, they're just gonna say, nope, just take the vaccine. That's the best treatment. How is a vaccine that has, on average, a 97% success rate and doesn't stop you from getting the virus, doesn't stop you from transmitting the virus, how is that the best cure? Technically, that's not even a cure. Wait, hold up. That means that vaccine is a treatment. It's not a cure. So you'd rather have that cure than take an organic, natural cure that someone else in their country came up with? Wow. That's just wow. That's seriously just wow. You know, but these are the people who people are trusting with all their mights. My goodness. But yeah, I'm gonna look at some of these comments and I'll probably, I don't know how long it's been, but I'll probably put the link right now if anybody has anything to add. How do I do that? Okay, so the link is in there and I will check the comments. $10 years starting when? 10 years started last year. So we have 9 years left, I suppose. I don't know. As many children as can. Oh, okay. But if Black people go out, right, and have as many children as they can, are you implying that Black people going out and having as many children as they can, are you implying that that's a solution to them actually trying to eliminate some of your children so that at least you'll have some children left? Is that what you mean by that? Because, I mean, if the plan that they're talking about is going to be implemented, then that supposedly means that you shouldn't have a lot of children, right? I don't know. I'm just asking. I believe that Monsanto produced Roundup that has killed many people from cancer and has paid billions out in lawsuits. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. In fact, if you honestly think about it, like this conversation may be too much for some people, and I completely understand. You still real and I still care about you, but if you honestly think about it, why do you trust any of these people? Like, let me just give a sidebar. Why do you trust any of these people if you really think about it? Because some of us already live in environments where the air quality is already bad. So that's already, you're already gonna be knocked out from the air quality. Some of us already live in environments where I wouldn't be shocked if they've been slowly poisoning a lot of us with the foods that they sell in the grocery store. Aside from the GMOs and stuff that we know is bad, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some other poison that's already in some of these fruits and vegetables that they sell to people. I wouldn't be surprised. I can't confirm or deny that right now, but I can't completely deny it either. You know? So it's like, seriously, why are any of us even trusting these people? Like, to be quite honest. Why are any of us trusting these people? Like, for real. I'm gonna add Neo. What's up?
What's up, little sis? How you doing? Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I've been going ham down in the chat, just kind of sharing a few things. I'll make sure that I keep putting myself on mute because I know I got a lot of background noise. But I've been, as you know, I'm a truck driver, and I've been hauling these your products and whatnot for some time now. I'll just keep it at that. And I've literally hauled these different things. I know I'm just a simple truck driver. However, if you've been doing it for a long period of time, anytime longer than what I've been, driving on this road, you're going to come across familiar places where you're picking up these products. Then you're going to be forced to learn how to read what is on your bill of lading. These bill of ladings are, just basically receipts for transactions for large quantities of products, things of that nature. So over the years, I've taken pictures where you're not supposed to, and I've hauled things for people, for companies, large companies that were in transition and things of that nature. And when you start lining this stuff up with the news, then certain things start making sense. Certain things start lining up like little dominoes. Yeah. And honestly, it can be a little disheartening. It can be a little scary. You were absolutely correct by warning people like, hey, this might touch home and you might feel uncomfortable listening to the show today. I'm glad you put that out there, because I definitely want to share a few things that I want. Like I did before, I brought up the Agenda 21, and you're definitely scratching the right itch. You're barking up the right tree. Unfortunately, I think it's a little late.
Do you think that?
I only say that because you are quite a bit young. I think you're quite a bit young, in my, not to offend you or anything, but a lot of people who are watching this show now are just now hearing about it. And there's so many little things that I want to kind of bring up and show that it's already in final phases. This 9-year waiting period that we're finally going through is the aftermath, in which they've already implemented certain things in order for it to actually start working on its own, like an algorithm. We're like in I don't know, we're in an autopilot mode kind of right now, where all of this stuff is just kind of working on its own because they've already went through the process of implementing laws, plans, economic changes, structural infrastructure plans, and restructuring. And it's been kind of a slow drip, but that slow drip started in the 80s. And now it's 2021. I mean, Just an example, a small example. Uh, let's say our foods. We go to the store, we buy our, we pay attention to the ounces and the grams and the volume in which we're buying the product. We know we buy the regular Jiffy peanut butter or the Skippy peanut butter and whatnot, but we haven't noticed that the price stays one way or it inflates, and we have to worry about inflation. But the amount lessens. There's more. There's less of the product. These products have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller over the years, but the price hasn't changed. That means there's a company somewhere selling you less product for the same amount, if not more, depending on the state that you live in. That means that that's more money in their pocket. That's just one small part, but that it was one of the things that was on the agenda. Downsizing, right? Making everything smaller, like that whole tiny house thing. But I won't go into that. But I noticed that a lot of different products were doing this same thing at first, and this was, I'd say, about 2002.
Oh, 2002.
About 2002 is when I noticed that little thing right there. But it expands more than that. So it's like your entire grocery store, every product that you buy now has undergone that phase in a way that you just haven't even noticed it. It just kind of slipped past. Right? But I've gone on for a little bit. Let me go ahead and mute my mic and let you go ahead and speak on that and give your input on that.
Yeah. The whole, and Layla said it in the chat, there's just a whole agenda to ration food, right? I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure if that's preparing for the actual possible food shortage.
Well, the shortage, I think the shortage is slightly separate.
Okay.
It's kind of a way of misdirection. It's misdirecting you and giving you something to pacify yourself with. They're rationing the food, but telling you that there's a shortage. This is on two ends of the spectrum here. If there's a shortage, then we would notice it in the economy immediately, especially with us drivers. If we're hauling the food around, then there would be less product for us to move back and forth. That hasn't changed. As a matter of fact, majority of the warehouses I go to are complaining about having too much product. They don't have enough space for the product. That's the number one cause for fees and fines for drivers. When you show up either early or late, you get fined because there's a fee for storage. Number one thing that Walmart likes to do is to charge drivers for being late. And we're talking like an hour, 2 hours. We're not talking about days or anything like that. We're talking about a matter of minutes. If you're 15 minutes past your appointment time, they'll turn you back. And you get a $200 fee before they reschedule you.
Right.
All right. Costco will not only fine you, but they'll deny the entire load. So another company will have to pick up this rejected product. There in comes your 99-cent stores. These loads get put up for auction, and the smaller companies come through and purchase it at auction price. This is your Mervyn's, this is your Didi's, this is your Ross. your Kmart's, your Sears, all of those companies went bankrupt at one point.
Yeah.
How did they manage to sustain themselves? Well, they had to start marrying up to each other. They had to start getting in bed with each other, per se. Sears and Kmart actually had to become one company and start selling the same products, two different prices. Ross and Didi's are the same company as well. And a lot of different companies are doing the same thing. Kia, Hyundai, car manufacturers, Ferrari and Volkswagen, and Audi are all the same company. Fiat is Ford. The list goes on. Where this mass downsizing is literally everywhere, just underneath the surface, though, to where you can't really notice it.
No, for sure. There is downsizing. There's a lot of downsizing. Downsizing, loss of money. And I've also seen that they're actually, if you look at what's going on, you can actually see that there are actually a lot of wars as well. Not wars, conflicts. Conflicts between companies and the elites also not getting along. You tend to notice that a lot. I know some people don't pay attention to this type of stuff, and that's cool. But if you notice, a lot of CEOs have been quitting from their companies left and right. A lot of CEOs have been leaving their companies. And you would think, wait, your salary is like $500 trillion. Why are you all of a sudden resigning your company? I'm not just talking about Jeff Bezos. I'm talking about a whole bunch of other companies that these CEOs are leaving all of a sudden. And some of them are leaving and they're going to Bali. Everyone's going to Bali for whatever reason. Some of them are leaving and they're going to Australia. Some of them are going to Thailand. But you have a whole bunch of CEOs that all of a sudden are just quitting. You have companies that their financial balance sheets don't make any sense anymore. But it's not that somebody is stealing the money. It's that things aren't being managed properly. And some of these companies simply just don't have any money anymore. But they pretend like they do. And then they can't hide it anymore. And then you'll see some shady news station write an article like, oh, this company's going bankrupt. Oh, don't invest your stocks over here. This company is untrustable. And all this stuff. But haven't you noticed that?
Oh yeah, I've been noticing it for a while. Let's say Swift Transportation is a truck company. The CEO of Swift Transportation actually had a lawsuit that he got thrown in with during that scandal with Martha Stewart, where there was insider trading. So rather than paying the fine, the CEO decided, well, you know what? I'm not paying that. Somebody gave me some hints. I played the market. He decided to do his jail time instead. That's the first time I ever heard of a CEO would rather do jail time than to pay his fine. Just like Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart said, well, fuck it. I'm going to go to jail. But they put him in a swanky jail. It's not like they were basically house arrest, but we won't go into that either. My point is, rather than paying the fine, he served the time instead. But when he came out, when he was released, he went into a plan in order to regain his company, because apparently one of the other CEOs took his portion of the company and created a whole nother truck company. We called it Knight Transportation. Swift and Knight at one point were the same company. Coincidentally, as of the year before last, Knight Transportation and Swift re-merged. Now they're back as being one company, right around the same, time that we're having this crisis and whatnot. Swift is already a huge company with its own airline and distributing contracts on both sides, one in Canada and one in Mexico, along with their own airline and things like that. But they were suffering. They couldn't keep up with Amazon, Jeff Bezos. I'm throwing these things out. I'm just giving some examples of kind of shady upper class, kind of
Absolutely.
workings going on.
Yeah,
So
the elites aren't getting us. They're not. There's a breakdown in the elites, the evil powers that be. There's a breakdown in what I call their flossing, and what I call them pretending like everything is okay. There's some kind of communication breakdown between them. That I know none of us are in those circles, obviously, because then why would I care to tell you guys about what's going on in the elite if I was one? But even though none of us are in those circles, it's kind of obvious that we know that the elites aren't getting along. Like, we already know that there's some kind of imbalance of power, but it's not like they can hide it. Like, they're having issues hiding these kind of problems, and it's just really obvious. And I think a lot of people would be very naive to think that these conflicts that the elites are having would have no implications on them whatsoever. I think that's kind of, and it's good to have that wishful thinking, but I mean, somehow it's gonna affect us. Like, just think about it. It is. It's nothing to worry about. It's nothing to freak out about, but come on now. It's gonna affect us.
I mean, me personally, I'd be worried a little bit about it. Like, another example, what's the guy's name that's in charge of, who's the founder of Tesla?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk. What is his opinion on the vaccine? Right? Like, why would that even matter? Right? Who would care? I mean, he's a car company. Like, he's in charge of the electric car company, right? Here's where the water gets muddy. Tesla is also manufacturing the equipment to actually
what did you say?
The delivery devices, all of those things, those products that they use, like the hypodermic needles, and the other equipment, all of that's made by Tesla. Yet the founder himself refuses to take the vaccine.
Yeah.
He refuses to take the vaccine. He thinks it's pointless, and I agree with him. But he's the one making his company is making. So we're looking at this shady stuff going on behind the scenes. It's a lot deeper than what's being delivered on the surface. A lot deeper than what's distributed to us on the social media outlets, the Fox News, the CNNs, the CBS, and all of these different networks are not necessarily giving you the information that's readily available if anybody bothers to go and dig for it.
And that's the problem.
So I mean, like, literally, yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that they purposely dig all of this information. They purposely hide a whole bunch of information, which, yeah, there's information that we don't even have access to, but even the information that we have access to, it's not easily accessible, because who's gonna research this stuff? You know what I mean? Who's gonna take their time to actually look into these type of things. Not many people. But when it comes to their propaganda of them, always putting whatever they think is important on front page news, that's easy to find. Whatever they need you to find, you could easily find it. But whatever they don't want you to find, that automatically takes time, that automatically takes effort, which then means that not a lot of people are going to know that information. And then when people come up and say that information, the masses are going to be like, no, who cares? Yeah, you don't care because you're being programmed not to care. And whether you want to accept that or not, I mean, then why can't I ask you, why don't you care?
Right. It's the same reason why your vote is such a secret.
Yeah.
Black people, we tend to tell you exactly who or what we're voting for. White people, not so much. It's like state secret for them. Like they just like it's deeply personal, right? But here's another example, if I can. Just with like Elon Musk, because he had it's a video that he actually said himself. He said, I refuse to take this. There's no point of taking this vaccine. But the other example is, what was it? It was, I remember. Salmonella poisoning that we had back in the day in the tomatoes and the spinach, right? The news covered a portion of that.
Yeah.
We know that it was a recall on all the stuff from the fast food places that recalled all of that jacked up product.
Right.
A little bit later after that, there was another salmonella outbreak, but this time it was with the beef, the hamburger that was actually being sold in the stores. It didn't have anything to do with the fast food companies. The fast food companies didn't get their products from the same source. However, a little while later, Korea goes off the deep end on America. Why? Because all of that salmonella beef was being sold to Korea through Costco. They sent it back in a big ass shipping container or whatever. Not just one. It's like literally loads and loads and loads. But it was shipped back to the United States. But it was just sitting there. Who's going to buy it? Remember, I said earlier that the smaller companies go in and purchase products at auction price.
Yeah.
GSF bought all of that salmonella beef. What is GSF? GSF distributes to all of the major fast food companies. So in other words, all of that ground beef got bought by your fast food companies, and you wonder why your fast food companies keeps having this issue with salmonella. So when you're going to your fast food place, be careful what you buy because you don't know where it comes from. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, for real.
But that was the cycle. That was the thing. The only reason why I know that is because I was literally picking up loads that were going to and from GSF, Costco, Walmart, Target, all the major places that you make your purchases from. You start recognizing numbers.
Wait.
Bill of ladings.
Would you
These
say
numbers
that,
are identical. I have it on record.
would you say that that wasn't a coincidence? Would you say that was meant to happen?
I I took the money like it was a coincidence. I questioned the hell out of it because it was too big of a coincidence.
Yeah.
It was too close in timing.
I mean, if they
I don't
really
know.
wanted to, they could keep doing that over again and again and again and again. But then people would catch on, which is why they can't.
I can tell you, like, nothing has changed. The only thing that I think has changed is the fact that you don't really hear about it in the media anymore. It's not major news. The news has to sell a product as well. They have to sell you news that gets your attention, gets the viewers.
Right.
It's not on the news, right? But right now, the news outlets are failing to get the eyeballs that they used to, because YouTube and Facebook and Instagram are taking all the eyeballs. They're taking all the viewers. They're scrambling, trying to give you fast forward kind of microwave information. You know, hurry up and get it out information, and they've always done that, but now it's starting to. It's really starting to
Oh yeah, no,
be
they're
exacerbated.
getting upset about that. They're getting very upset about that.
Right? Because there are too many people with phones. Yeah, there's too many people with phones with their own cameras that have secondary eyeballs, secondary witnesses to some of the events that they're talking about. And now, yeah, those things are starting to be more reliable than the source news that we get.
Yeah, you're right. I will say this before you continue. There was this video on Facebook that was exposing certain people in the elite, and they were exposing certain people in the elite stealing resources from a certain company, right? And this video was taken, obviously, with someone's cell phone. So you're right, because back in the days, you wouldn't really hear about that. Maybe somebody would tell somebody, hey, I saw this happen, and people would be like, yeah, whatever. But if someone has cell phone footage of somebody doing something bad, especially an esteemed member who is an elite, then no one could go against that. And obviously you're correct. The CBC, Fox, BBC, which is my former favorite one, they would never report things like that. They'll never report things that the elite are doing because they're part of the elite. They work for the elite, obviously. But you have, and I know a lot of you guys have seen more and more instances of people getting exposed, and it's through cell phones. And then, sometimes these videos do disappear, but at least they do circulate, and then people make copies, and then they save copies, and then it resurfaces. It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it myself. I mean, because the difference is the amount of truth that you get, right? The source media can't filter the raw footage that people are actually being exposed to. The only crazy part that I really have my questions about are the fact that so many of our movies that we've watched and enjoyed have already touched on this being a reality.
Right.
Right? Like we got the Matrix movie. Everybody loves the Matrix movie. I'm a big fan of the Matrix movie. I love it. I go deep on that one. I mean, from the Animatrix to the sequels.
The Matrix movie.
Yeah, but
It's one of those movies you can never get enough of. You're right.
Yeah, I could never get enough of it. Even as it seems to be kind of dated now, the first one seems slightly dated. It's still nuanced to me because I remember a movie from 1995 starring Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. It's called Virtuosity, right? Everything that they were doing in the Matrix and everything that is going on in the media now as far as the UFC, um, um, cage fighting, kind of Roman gladiator, kind of Colosseum esque fighting and entertainment, things of that nature, was all in this movie released in 1995. So many years before we get The Matrix. And of course, obviously, Russell Crowe did The Gladiator, another one of my favorite movies. But the coincidences are kind of make you itch a little bit. Kind of makes you wonder. Even what was it? I can't remember. It was another movie that was exactly the same as Virtuosity. That had what's his name? I got a brain fart right now, but the same actor in it beforehand. Angelina Jolie was in there too, but all of these movies touching on the internet being a big thing, and now it's like undeniable. The internet is legacy, right? By definition, Google is legacy. Facebook is legacy. You know this because MySpace, being the predecessor to Facebook, left that window open for people to really start gathering on these social media sites. Right.
Well, we should enjoy it. We should enjoy it
Oh
while
yeah,
while
go
it
ahead.
lasts. We should just enjoy it while it lasts.
Word.
Because guys, and I know the title did talk about social media censorship, and I didn't really bring it up, which is perfect why this is being talked about right now. But that definitely is a real thing. You know, has anyone pondered why there's certain things in social media that are allowed to be talked about only by a certain group of people, but then when other people talk about it, those posts get banned, they're not verified, they're not certified, but you say it's a free world. You say it's a free society where at least I would assume that in social media, you're able to express yourself as long as you're not being overly, I guess, talking about hate or massacring somebody. I guess I could understand why you want to delete that. But if people are talking about, don't trust the government, weird things are happening, I found a cure for this disease or this virus, why does the government get so angry and then why are they so quick to delete that post? Why? Why is CBC, all those media stations, and certain people who they let speak about certain things, why are they the only ones that are allowed to talk about those things and it's no problem? But then you have regular people. I've seen this on Instagram a lot, not as much on Facebook. I've seen it on YouTube as well, where some people are talking about certain things. Next thing you know it, their videos deleted. Next thing you know it, they broke the guidelines. But they didn't say anything bad. They just said, why don't you question this? Why don't you ponder that? Something that goes against what I guess the majority in society thinks, and then they automatically just delete the post. We don't think that this is going to continue to happen. Like, this is going to continue to happen. It's going to get much worse. The censorship on social media, duh, it clearly bothers them because they didn't think or they didn't plan that social media would be the way that it is right now, where there are literally so many things that are being challenged. They don't like that. See, I don't think they would mind as much if a lot of these people who were saying things that they didn't agree with actually paid them. I don't think they would mind as much, but because they're not getting a cut of it and because they see it as a threat, then they have to go after the independent guys. They have to go after the guys who are not conforming to their ideas, their ideologies, their medical practices, just a whole bunch of things. It's really annoying. And I know you guys have noticed social media censorship, especially if you watch YouTube. and you write certain comments, you notice YouTube's deleting those comments. Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? Oh, but it's just normal. No, it's getting worse. Slowly and slowly. You know? But why? Why is it getting worse? What are they afraid of? Right? What are they afraid of? Why are they uncomfortable with these type of things? Very soon, some of these conversations that we have, even if we're talking about Black power, whatever you want to call it, African power, very soon those type of conversations are going to count as hate speech. That's kind of obvious.
Sorry about that. I think I lost service, so I couldn't hear what you said.
Oh, I was just saying that social media is getting they're getting really upset, and they are slowly censoring people way more and more. And it's just not going good if you think about it. You know, everything has to be approved by a third party now. It's really ridiculous how they're doing that. Because
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a three-part war going on. The social machine, which is the people, us, versus the economic machine, the commercial industry, and the governing body, the governing machine, the politicians, the governments, the government elect, the presidents, right?
Yeah.
All being egged on and I don't know, I guess manipulated by a fourth party. And I'm not going to say the shadow government. Everybody knows that the shadow government is the corporation. So we're not going to even talk about that part. But there are an elite class that are unseen.
Yeah.
Right? The unseen are just the people who own certain parts of, like, primary example, the person who actually owns the White House. The president doesn't own it. We know that. The president comes in and he sleeps in it, basically. He runs the country from it. It's perceived that you know, it's government property. That is not the case. It is owned by a particular family.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I thought that was common knowledge.
Oh, listen. Okay, I mean, what? Oh,
the empire. All right. The Twin Towers, 9/11. Okay, the Twin Towers was owned by a particular person that had an insurance policy on the buildings. There was 3 buildings that they had that he owned, or this person owned. The year before the tragedy, not the year before, I'm sorry, not the year, literally the day before 9/11, 2 days before, $2 trillion just so happened to come up missing from the Twin Towers banking authority on the upper floors. $2 trillion, which is just coincidentally approximately the amount of money that the insurance policy was for. These are things you can look up. I don't have the entire facts because obviously I'm driving right now and I can't just go pull my records up. Yeah, I'm giving you this stuff, and hopefully you go back and you look it up for yourself, so you don't just take my word for it. You can actually go and see this stuff. The point isn't just the fact that, okay, somebody owns these properties. Is the fact that you don't hear about these people who own these properties in social media. The only person that you hear about in social media about that is is like, say, the guy who owns the Knicks. I think it's the Knicks. He's always on the damn court, messing with like yelling at the referees and whatnot. They actually had to throw the owner out several games because he keeps getting on the floor. It's like and screaming at the refs on the floor. He owns the building. That's who. That's he owns the stadium. That's that guy. But that's like another example. Trump is another one. You see him in the media, you know that he owns Trump Towers and things of that nature. He's plainly in the media, but it's the people that you don't see that are involved in this stuff going on.
Obviously.
It's weird. I know it's weird. What is another one that I always hear about, but you never really see them outside of like Elon Musk and whatnot.
You know what's funny? They actually think that Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and as you mentioned, the most vocal ones, they actually think that these are the people calling the shots. And it's like, no, there are mafias out there. I call them mafias because it's usually families, more than one person. We keep talking about it. We keep saying 1%, but the 1% is not the rappers. It's not the TV presenters. It's literally these families that are calling the shots behind the scenes and that we have never seen before because they're not like that. They're private.
Right. Like all of the owners of the NFL.
Sorry?
Yeah, like all of the owners of the NFL can fit in one taxi cab.
Yeah.
Right? And you wonder why there's such a weird kind of like ambiance of racism in the NFL, but nobody, everybody's comfortable with it because the NFL is such a powerhouse in the entertainment industry that nobody really questions it. They question it, but every time they do, they get shut down either in the media or politically, or they're what's a good word here? They're castrated by the media, basically, where they have no vocal opinion that's viable. I mean, they're taken out. They're taken out. They're targeted. Look, T.I. and Tiny is another one of those examples. Obviously, they can't be as vocal as they want because, well, if you do get out of pocket, magically some sort of conspiracy comes out about you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why? Like, we already know that people in the entertainment industry have a sketchy sort of love relationship. We stay out of it. It's none of our business. However, once it hits the media fan, everybody gets wind of it, and now everybody's talking about it as some sort of, new thing. It's a pacifier to keep you quiet from the real stuff going on, like the fact that right now they're saying that this vaccine has a 9-year study that they had behind it. They've been studying this vaccine for 9 years.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean 9 years? Where do you get this stuff from? They were just saying how this virus is novel. They don't have any study on it. Now they're starting to like what? Like what?
Most people actually believe that it came out of nowhere and that there was no vaccine already prepared.
Right. Oh man, the hogwash. The hogwash of it all. And I do mean that literally, hogwash, because if swine flu had been as novel as the coronavirus, then we'd have had a vaccine for that a long time ago, too. As a matter of fact, if avian flu, bird flu, or any of those previous flus that we've had were as quote-unquote novel as this coronavirus, which it still belongs to the same family as swine flu, then this epidemic would have happened a long time ago. I mean, like we had bird flu. Bird flu. It was literally passed on through poultry, through chicken.
Yeah.
Who you think they was targeting then? The stereotypical black people that eat chicken all the fucking time? Please, come on. And then
Leave my chicken alone, man.
and then wait, Popeye's chicken releases their sandwich,
That was
and we go flocking to it, eating these chicken sandwiches, knowing good and damn well they trying to kill us. And now you have pre-existing conditions that are attributes of the coronavirus.
People were in line,
In line, getting in fights, throwing shoes over cash registers. Like if Bush was back there, I don't get it. Like, folks, if they wanted to kill you, that would have been the time for them to do it. The timing of it was just a little too coincidental, because right after that is when we get this coronavirus. Right after that whole, like, everybody was turned up over the damn Popeye's chicken sandwiches. I said, like, look, if you wanted to kill some people, I told my wife this, and she was like, yeah, you know what, you might be right. And then all of a sudden, coronavirus, bam. What? Bruh. Like, for real? Pre-existing conditions? They want to vaccinate Africa as a whole, but Africa had the lowest percentile when it came to actual cases. Actual deaths, actual cases, globally, Africa was on the lowest level. It was damn near non-existent. Where their deaths were still like in the hundreds or early thousands in comparison to every other place, but yet Africa is where they want to start first. Why? Why would you do that? It makes no logical sense. And now the latest news is that there is a mutated strain in Africa. Coincidence again. I guess I'll just take it as such, because in Africa everything gets wild. I can't with these people.
Right.
Their media doesn't make any logical sense. And like, when I step back and really like listen to the news coverage, I mean, like, we see the numbers for ourselves. We can go to the WHO and see the numbers and the charts for ourselves. Well, we used to, until they changed it, until they changed the website to where now you only get a bar graph, whereas it used to be a map. I'm not sure if it's still a map. I don't know if they changed it back, but the map was different when I was watching it in early March. Actually, it was February. It was February when I downloaded the app and I was keeping track of it. Then they switched it. So I'm lost for words when it comes to the amount of nonsense that comes out, and we're supposed to just eat it up like it's fact.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why, I mean, I take a lot of this stuff for face value. I take it as half truths, as okay, this can be true, but not absolute, because they can just honestly, and I know people in the comment section are gonna, again, trigger warning, please leave if you're gonna be stressed out, anxious about any of this type of stuff, because I mean, like I said, what's being stressed out? How's that going to help you, period? So there's no point in being stressed out, to be quite honest, because then they won. So my thing is, how do we take these things and we just accept it to be truth? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there are some people in here that they just accept anything that people just say, and they don't actually sit down and think about it. What if they're lying? And I understand why some people don't do that, because they don't want to worry about something that they have no control over. That's completely right. But I still hold on to the fact that if you don't question anything, then you'll accept everything, and then you won't own your own mind. No matter what, I feel like that's an element of power. An element of power is, you know what? I'm going to resist what they're saying, and I'm probably just going to question it, approach it with caution, so that it's going to hurt me less. I know for some of the continentals in here, for instance, you guys got mad. You guys got sad when you guys heard what Julius Malema said. You guys were like, how can a revolutionary say that he's going to be first in line to take a vaccine? How can he not? Really think about it. How can a revolutionary that is a revolutionary, okay, that is based in South Africa, that supposedly has the highest numbers of cases, how can he not be working for the elites? Like, how is that not possible? Why are you guys so surprised? Come on now.
I have no idea how that even hits people's radar as being a surprise in the first place. I mean, I'm like literally, I'm stuck. I'm lost for words.
Yeah.
All you have to do is pull up the WHO website and look at the numbers. So when they tell you South Africa has the highest numbers, you have to ask one simple question: where? Where they do that at? Like what? Like what? Because it's not factual. It's not reported. It's unreported cases. No.
Yeah.
That's not how they treat Africans in Africa in the first place. Just ask Hershey's with their slave chocolate. I'm just throwing this. They're just throwing that out there. It's been out there for decades on decades, harvesting cocoa plants with child labor, and people still buy Mars candy bars and Hershey's and Snickers. Okay, I got it. Note taken. Knowing the facts is drastically important right now. Knowing the difference between objective truth and subjective truth is extremely important so that you can take back your power.
Right.
Right? Things that are hard facts that are built in nature cannot be denied.
Correct.
Something that Bill Russell says on late night news is not so much.
Okay. So the news, wait, Neo, do you mean to tell us that the news is not factual? I thought everything they said in the news was real.
Oh no, who said that? Who said that? I don't know what you are talking about. The news is 100% factual. I can't. I cannot.
Oh my God.
Here's an interesting fact. Henry Ford, one of my favorite guys in history, despite the fact that he was a complete and total racist, but under the table as such. He had a friend who owned DuPont. They had an issue with nylon and needing to make rubber for the military. They were getting their rubber from, it was an American product at one point. And then all of a sudden, the need to be able to switch exposed something. What did it expose? We're talking about the fact that, what was it? King Leopold was still using slave labor to obtain this rubber that our military used in our vehicles for World War I. I thought slavery was abolished in the 1800s. No, it was still in the 1900s that King Leopold were still cutting off Africans' hands. And then, commercially, covering it up by selling chocolates in the forms of hands. So when you go to C's and you buy your Dutch chocolate hands, know that that's a symbol for outright slavery.
Right.
But in the news, C's chocolate was the pinnacle of the excellence of Dutch craftsmanship. No, it was just people being outright disgusting.
So I guess whoever owns these news companies and news stations, which is kind of obvious, but you'll have the people who be like, "You're talking nonsense," but it's cool. I guess who owns these news corporations and news companies can basically say a lot of whatever they want, can't they? I guess they can do
Yeah,
that, especially for the right price.
yeah, that's what it usually always boils down to. How much and for how long.
Right.
See, I think one of the things I used to pay attention to was CNN and BBC to try to get, uh, I guess, better news content. Being a driver, you really need a good source for news when it comes to what's the industry doing, what's going to happen with freight, how is the stock market, how are stocks, what are people buying. So you understand, like, when people are buying certain things, they're buying them during certain seasons or when they're in certain moods. When you're in a certain mood and you make all those last minute purchases and whatnot, that directly affects my job because somebody has to buy this product at a large enough quantity for it to be shipped from one place to another. So when you want to see what the temperature is on the country, hell, globally for that matter, but when you want to gauge the temperature of what the economy are doing or what the people are doing, ask a truck driver. See what his feelings are. Find out what products are moving. Don't ask too many questions because there's a few of these things we can't really talk about. We're not necessarily at liberty to talk about. First off, is safety reasons. We don't want anybody holding us up or robbing the truck, which does happen out here. But there's a lot of information that could be had from a well-informed truck driver because we're literally moving the products that the people are buying. Holiday season, truck industry is turned the hell up to the nines. We're moving stuff back and forth all over the place. When this epidemic hit, FEMA came in and started commandeering our logbooks and telling us how many hours we're now able to drive to meet the need for the emergency, meaning that you can drive past your legal hours and nobody's going to question you about it. Unless, your company just doesn't want to participate in it. Mass majority of the truck companies did participate in it, and there were a lot of drivers out here taking advantage of that. That's still sidebar in the fact that FEMA came in and started moving your protective equipment, stashing it in different places, off the books. I thought that it was going to be done with by the end of the year, which it kind of stopped. But I just got an email earlier this week saying that it was going to be enacted again.
Why is there going to be another Well, actually, there is going to be another lockdown. By the way, if anyone has any questions, please leave them in the chat. So we probably will end this in about 10 minutes just because I don't want it to be too long. These are the type of series that I think need to be kind of short and easy to digest. But if anyone has any questions, please leave them in the comment section. And again, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. But were you alluding to the fact that they're preparing for more serious lockdowns?
I don't know. It's starting to look like a duck, starting to smell like a duck. It's starting to quack like a duck. So I'm assuming there's going to be a bunch of ducks right around here.
Yeah.
You know, there was an issue somewhere around, I would say, July, where I guess ammunition was at a low. There was a crisis, there was a run on ammunition, and like literally in certain places you couldn't buy ammunition.
Right.
And I'm curious about that. I'm really curious about that. How, in a military-oriented country,
Right.
is there a shortage on commercialized ammunition? Where?
Doesn't make
How?
any sense.
Why? But the weirder part still was right around that same time, there was a change shortage as well. Like, for some reason, quarters, nickels, and dimes were scarce. Now, is it because people are exchanging money and they don't want to transmit the virus because they don't want to, change hands with your dirty change that you keep in your pocket, in your car? You got the corona on your change, you got to pass it to the cashier, or you don't want to get the dirty change that was in the register from the day before because somebody had corona and put it in there. Okay, I got it. But why did they stop minting change? Why was there a shortage? And now there's not. Now there's not a shortage on change. Right around the same time, there's a shortage on ammunition. I'm like, something's weird's going on backstage, not telling us. That's another conspiracy. Don't take my word for it. It's just weird stuff that I've noticed out here on the road.
Right.
You go to several different states where there's open carry policy enacted, and people do carry their gun to the Waffle House. I don't know what you need your gun on, but I don't know what you need a Beretta for, getting waffles and whatnot.
I mean, those waffles are good, so.
I like Waffle House, but goddamn, like for real, bro, you got your whole Beretta, you got your 9mm on the side of your hip, open carry, eating waffles. Yeah, oh, okay. They say bring your hardware, bring your tools and whatnot. I guess, but I'm just saying, open carry states were having an ammunition run, and there was a shortage.
Right.
I'm like, bro, what? Okay, can you be more obvious? They put it in the news at one point, but it only got like a 30-second, like to a minute coverage, and then it just never got brought up again after that. Looking Fox News, it was around July that they had that run on it, so you guys can go look that up. It fringes on conspiracy theory, I know, but just go look at it. Just saying. Me personally, I believe in always making sure that you have a well-equipped toolbox. And I always make sure I got a hammer in my toolbox, if you catch my drift.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of black folks are not doing that. At least that's what I thought. However, 5 years ago, it was reported again in the news that there was an uptick in black gun ownership. Just before Trump got into office. Just before the fact that he was a viable candidate. Just before he actually won the candidacy, uptick in black gun ownership was on the rise, and it was reported in the news. So it's not a conspiracy if there's receipts. Right? So I'm just throwing that out there.
What do you think though? So for anybody who, I don't know, maybe they're wondering what the point of all we're saying is, How would you summarize this in like, or any advice that you have?
Could you say that one more time?
How would you summarize in any advice that you have, especially for people who think that we're just talking about conspiracies, which we are, but I'll explain that a little bit later. But do you have any advice for anybody who doesn't understand what's going on?
Do some push-ups, buy a gun.
Okay.
Oh, man up. It's about to get you some weights, start hitting your weights. Buy you a punching bag, learn how to use the damn thing. Buy you a hammer and some nails, because the carpenters are coming. Anyway, no, real advice. Okay. None of the source information is reliable by itself. It does not stand up on its own. You have to go and research your own information that you're being fed. If it hits your radar, if it comes across your screen, your phone or whatever, and it's news to you, take 5 minutes, 10 minutes out of your day and actually do some reconnaissance. Study something, not to study something, research something. Studying is not researching, it's two different things. Research something that you feel is important news to you. That's for starters, so that you don't just get put into this trick bag of information and corralled into doing something that the quote-unquote media wants you to participate in. Whatever they feel is important is what they feed to you.
Right.
They don't feed you the news stories of the little 9-year-old girl getting maced in the face by the police department.
Right.
While she was handcuffed and stuffed in the back of a car, a 9-year-old girl. This media, this news gets out there a little bit in trickles and whatnot, but it's not going to be on your radar if you don't go, reaching for it or searching for it. I don't know. I'm just going on a tangent again. Let me reel it in. The next thing to do would be to actually do what I said to do. If you are black and you're in the Americas or whatever, it would be important for you to learn some self-defense and learn some ways of being able to protect you and your family, because we already see that storming the Capitol isn't beyond their scope of things to do. And they didn't just go there with flags and signs and whatnot. They went there armed because of their belief in the right to carry and whatnot, which technically goes into premeditation. So I'm just saying, like, it's not beyond their reasoning to go and do something of that nature. We already know that several black men died, were killed previously from vigilantes taking the law into their own hands.
Mm-hmm.
Know the law. Know what the rights say that black people are legally able to do, and wonder why the law is different for black people than it is for everybody else. Now, mind you, legalese says that everybody's treated equally. However, that's clearly not the case. But question, why is that? Don't just say racism. Go and look at your laws and find out why it's in the Constitution, why it's in the amendments to the Constitution, and why you're still at the bottom of that barrel. Question it, just like you said. Question everything. Question it, but question the right things too. Don't just question like just the fringe things that they show you on the media, but question everything that comes along. Why is it that people are still flying Trump flags after he clearly lost, and why the uptick on sales for those flags still are on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he lost, bruh. Oh, wait, the Confederates lost too, but they still fly their flags. Again, questions. One sec. Sorry about that.
No worries.
The rumble strip on the side of the road is very loud, especially when you have to do some weird passing around to oversized loads. But yeah, this you're right on target. I'm glad that I actually told you about Agenda 21. Just kind of bringing it back around. I'm glad I told you about it because you actually went and researched it. I was shocked as hell when I saw that thing come across my screen. And I hope anybody in the chat goes in there and don't just look at the surface stuff. Don't just look at, okay, there's a website and it gives you all these people who are involved, who are top echelon, people who are in government, who are influencers. But look at the different events that took place during the time that it was being introduced. Logistically, look at like the locations and what was going on in each of these individual places, these countries. What was going on in South Africa in the 80s? What was going on in Rwanda? What was going on in France? What was going on in Britain? And you'll start to see these little weird things that come up, and you'll find that they are footnotes in this overall agenda. Hell, if you want to throw it in there, the military commandeered our airwaves in the early 2000s. If you remember, you couldn't watch the quote-unquote free broadcast from your bunny ears on your TV. You had to get an adapter because the military wanted to take over the low-frequency bandwidth for emergency reasons. This was about 1998 into 2000. It's kind of coincidental, but they have their reasons. So, just saying, your frequency on your, or not frequency, but your telephone signal doesn't just receive satellite feed. That's not how that works. You need a cell phone tower. You need a signal that is on the ground level, low band frequency, in order to receive your information or your Wi-Fi and all this other stuff. We think of it as something different other than radio waves. It's the same. It's on the same thing. The problem is it's lower frequency, so it's able to hold more information.
Right.
But there's all these different reasons why you couldn't buy, the commercial industry couldn't buy these airwaves because you would have to compete against the radio broadcasters. Your Power 106, your FMs, your free radio. So how do you take something that is normally free and charge people for it? You use the military to quote unquote commandeer it for emergency reasons. And now what used to be free is no longer free and is parceled out to the commercial industries that are selling this product. Your cell phone, your Wi-Fi, your Bluetooth doesn't function without that radio wave or those radio waves being freed up.
So those radio waves could be turned off, right?
Huh?
Those radio waves could be turned off, right?
Turned off? No. They're always there, but there's always somebody broadcasting on it, which interferes with your frequency. You would have to actually look that up. It sounds weird, I know. It's fringe stuff, but in order to block out those smaller commercial industries, you have to remove their ability to broadcast on that level. It's really weird. It doesn't even sound like an actual thing
Right.
until you start studying it. Then it's like, oh, well, hell, that explains a lot. Right? It's weird. I know. But it's the same reason why truck drivers just can't use their CB radios as much anymore, which means that we can't communicate with each other like we used to on the road, which kind of makes it a little more dangerous. A bunch of 18,000-pound vehicles on the road that you got to share the road with can't communicate back and forth with each other like they used to. That qualifies as dangerous to me. Anywho, let's try to uplift this a little bit, because that's a downer. It's a kind of a bummer.
Yeah, let's try to do that.
All right, but some positive things that you can do to try to inform yourself so that you're not just taking what it is that's being fed to you from the media. Like I said, research it. There's a lot of different sources of information that are people, putting this stuff out there. Don't just rely on one source. I mean, back in the day, our moms used to tell us, don't put our eggs in one basket, don't put all our eggs in just one basket. Same thing when it comes to your media sources. Don't get all of your information from just one source. You need multiple accounts of the happenings the things that are going on, especially the things that are going on in your vicinity, your general area, let alone in somebody else's state. Right? Don't take anybody's word for it. We said that. Find your own several reliable sources.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Something more positive. These folks are not that creative. They're just not. Okay, that's the one thing you can rely on. These people that we consider to be higher, like politicians and whatnot, these government officials and things of that nature, lawmakers, they're not that creative. They're just not. So the stuff that they put out, you can easily decipher that stuff. I mean, you can easily break this stuff down because, I mean, when it comes to being like convincing, they're just not. If it looks like one thing that I've noticed, every time somebody is getting ready to tell a lie on media, usually they start coughing. They got to clear their throat. They got to, yeah. It's like a nervous twitch, I noticed. And everybody does it. It looks weird. But for some reason, they get a little something in their throat at the moment that they got to spill this lie out. And I'm like, is this coincidence? But everybody that does it, and every time I go research what they were talking about, if they did that little twitch, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, these folks, they ain't telling the whole truth. This dude's hacking up a hairball. He can't say nothing straight. He's delivering something that is not exactly truthful. Let me go research this. Find some sort of twitch that these people have. Do it like that's my little twitch. That's my little indicator that something just is not right. Find yourself a little indicator. When you're watching it, if you see something that stands out as something that is reoccurring with your news, like you'll be watching Fox 11 and they'll put out a news report and then you'll switch over to CNN and they'll be delivering the same one, but it's almost the exact same words. That means that something is scripted. So find something that stands out to you and start using that as like a measuring rod for what is being told to you. Is it truth or is it fiction? Is it something that there's some sort of weird narrative that they want you to believe? And you can't necessarily be steered wrong after that.
Right.
So I hope that would help. I mean, it's helped me a lot.
I mean, I don't trust any of those people. They are witches, and there's good things to trust, good witches and bad witches, but most of those people are just bad because they have evil intentions, really bad evil intentions. And honestly, Layla said it correct. A lot of them just speak curses. They cast spells, bad spells that are upon us. So yeah, just be more cognizant of things that they say. Don't just take every single thing that they tell you and run with it. Like I mentioned, there's certain things that people are saying, and in my mind, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. So I'll just be cautious. I'm just kind of that. I think I'm at that point where it's certain things. If I don't see it right in front of me, I'm just not gonna believe it because there are too many instances where people can tamper things. It's so easy for any of us or any of them because they have a lot of money and resources to make up stories, pay people to do things and then record it and say that they're getting raw footage. They're just a whole bunch of things that they say are scripted. So why do we hold on to their narrative like it's the only narrative out there? That's what I'm trying to challenge some people to think about. Like, why is it every single thing that they say it's breaking news, but nobody challenges that quote unquote breaking news? Everybody just accepts that it's breaking news because they say it's breaking news. Therefore, you must believe it. But none of us could go back there and actually see who's actually behind this. But for whatever reason, we believe it. It's literally a faceless person that is trying to feed you a certain narrative, and you automatically accept it like it's true. Isn't that wild? That's crazy. But people
It
still
is. I
believe
wish
it.
you could see my head right now. I got the whole bobblehead. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Every time you hear breaking news,
Yeah.
every station has that breaking news,
Yep.
right? Oh, like this just in.
Breaking news. And then they have so many details. Like, oh, really? You must have spent a lot of time writing that script.
It's breaking news, but yet you've got all of these details about like how did you research
How
this
did
that
you
fast?
research
What?
all of that fast? But it's breaking news.
There was a story that was actually breaking news
Yeah.
earlier today. You'll notice that there's a few flags that are flying at half mast. There were a couple of FBI field agents that got killed in the process of delivering a warrant to a child pornography ring. Now, the story was really about the FBI agents losing their lives and whatnot. But I'm like, wait, you're just gonna wash over this whole sex trafficking, like child pornography dudes that were making child pornography. But your story is about the FBI agents that lost their lives dealing with it. They had a whole flag draped over their casket already. I'm like, well, this is breaking news. How'd they get the flag? Where'd they get the flag to put over this dude's casket so quick? But that's aside from the point. You're not going to show the pictures of these two people. It was a man and a woman of clear Jewish descent, given by their last names. They did give their full name and whatnot, but they managed to not have a picture of her, but they had a silhouette. I'm like, bruh, you can't call this breaking news. And the story is the fact that FBI agents lost two of their good agents. It should be more along the lines of they actually were doing something good for once, trying to stop something that was horrid. but they're not talking about that part. That part is what the information is.
Correct.
Not to lessen the value of the life of the people who are actually trying to stop it, because several of their other agents got injured as well. However, the fact that this was happening in someone's neighborhood and they didn't know about it, that the people around didn't know that these two people, clearly they were not black, were behind this devious ring of people. That's a bigger story. Like what? I worry about the narrative that's being delivered. Like, from what point of view are they delivering this story, right? What is the story actually about, rather than what are the contents of the story really? What's in it? Who are they focused on? If they're focused on the victim or the perpetrator, are they worried more about the suspects, or are they worried about the story behind it, or something like that, right? You can always tell what they're trying to deliver when you're starting to look at what is the main focus of the story.
Right.
The main focus of the story kind of washes over critical details, like a child pedophilia ring being stopped by the FBI.
Correct.
Like, I'm just saying, like, okay, now we're starting to look at what's really going on. Is you're being misled on purpose. They're trying to control your mood. You're trying to control how you feel about the story. You should be in outrage that this was happening in a black neighborhood. I'm just saying.
Okay, so I suppose nobody had any questions. That's perfect. So yeah, I think nobody's trying to really. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of am a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I am a little bit trying to influence some people, but not trying to influence them on my own personal opinions. I'm just trying to influence them to question things a bit more, because you just have to do that. Especially right now, if you have the time. Why are you not doing that? Why are you not doing that? Because the whole point of this time is for them to dumb people down even more. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of them. I don't know about where you guys are right now, but where I am, they have a whole bunch of specials. On Netflix, they have a whole bunch of specials. I see the commercials all the time. Oh, we're reducing this. Just you could get this new streaming app for only $4.99. We reduced the prices because we know that you guys are home and bored. No, that's not why. It's because now's the perfect time for you to binge watch and for your mind to just not ever be talking about important things, So just question so many things. Like I said, I don't know why some of you guys trust your president so much. I really don't. Your president's being controlled by someone else, or another power, so to speak. So I don't even know why you trust that person. That person's literally just a mouthpiece. For real. I have no idea, but some of you guys go hard for your presidents. You guys go hard for your country. Good for you. But they're not going hard for you. So just question that. Just question all of these things. Question all of these things, and then have those questions actually formulate into actions of what you're going to do and how you're going to prepare and how you're going to move forward. Even if you want to reject this notion of Agenda 21, Agenda 30, I still don't think that you can deny that there are some really interesting things going on in the world. There's some really interesting events that are happening. And these events, most of them, I'm not going to lie, they're staged, right? They were planned to happen. But start to ask yourself, why are these things planned to happen? What's the bigger meaning of all of this? If you want to, you can go ahead and do that. If you just want to reject it, you can go ahead and do that. But I kind of feel like you're selling yourself short if you just accept all of these things and not wonder what the deeper picture is around. So with all of that being said, go ahead and check the chat section. There were a lot of links that were dropped. And yeah, we'll probably talk about this again in probably 2 months, because that seems to be the pattern right now. As we get more developments and we start to know what's going on, we'll definitely talk more about these things, and maybe also talk about actions and steps into going forward, and I guess things that you can do. But right now, we implore you and we ask that you guys also do your own research and figure out what you think is important, what's not important. I have no idea why some of you guys think that these people that are quote unquote leading you care about you and care about your rights and care about anything. I have no idea why you would think that the people who are supplying you food in the grocery store care about you so much. They don't know you on a first name basis, but you would assume that there's no one out there. And by no one, I don't mean a singular person. I mean a group of people. I don't know why you would assume that there aren't a group of people that are out there not trying to harm you or I. I really have no idea why you would assume that. But that's all I have to say for that. Thank you so much, Neo, for being here. Do you have any final thoughts or goodbye on this matter?
You are quite welcome.
Thank you. And again, guys, I'll be back tomorrow, but I'll most specifically be talking about Nana Akufo-Addo, because that just really made me upset. And that's going to be more of a rant. It's not really going to be anything informational, but it's going to be more of a rant. And we're possibly going to look at what Ghana is doing versus what Tanzania is doing, and why this whole let's get away from the colonizers, but then we're begging them for vaccines, why it makes me really upset. So anyways, without further ado, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate everybody who was in the comment section, and those who weren't in the comment section and who were watching, who were attending. I still appreciate you and everybody in the playback. It's been real. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice day. Thank you so much. Bye.
Our President-elect Joe Biden is receiving his first dose of the coronavirus vaccine. Mr. Biden has promised 100 million people will be vaccinated in his first 100 days in office. Let's watch.
Yeah, right behind them on the other side. Thank you.
All right. Are you ready? I'm ready. Okay. I'm ready.
Did you get the ticket Band-Aid? Oh, that's better one. Band-Aid.
Oh, you've been awful busy, haven't you, Sam?
Oh, we have been, but.
God love it. We owe you big.
I know.
Whole staff. It's been incredible.
Everybody steps up and is doing what they need to do, so that's good.
All right.
She's from Cameroon. No, no.
Guess you need everybody watching, huh?
I know, but that's okay. That's okay, here comes nothing. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Got it up high? All right.
Would you like me to count to 3?
No, you just go ahead anytime you're ready.
Mr. Biden, do you expect that teachers will have early access to the vaccine? And if so, do you think that moves the timetable to get students back to class?
It doesn't matter. You think I need one, I'll put it on. Okay. Well, look, what I want to say is we owe these folks an awful lot. The scientists and the people who put this together, the frontline workers, the people who were the ones who actually did the clinical work. It's just amazing. And I wish we had time to take you through the whole hospital to see how busy and incredible you all are. And we owe you big. We really do. And one of the things is that I think that the administration deserves some credit getting this off the ground with Operation Warp Speed. I also think that it's worth saying that there's great hope. I'm doing this to demonstrate that people should be prepared when it's available to take the vaccine. There's nothing to worry about. I'm looking forward to the second shot. So is Jill. She's had her shot earlier today. She loves shots, I know, but I've had so many. But at any rate,